Hi, I'm Michelle,
I'm Charlotte.
and welcome to
Our World of Wonders.
as you can tell, it's a little dark because and cold, and you can hear the lake. We're down by the lake. There's an old mausoleum out at Port Britain that we thought we would visit. It's kind of hard to see right now, just back in the woods here. We're going to take a couple of shots and see what we can find, and then we'll add some stories. So I'm just going to flip the lens around, and
Can you see? Or is it going to be
it's
too dark?
kind of dark, but
I wonder if
no.
we got right up to it, maybe.
Well, yeah, we're gonna walk through and see if we can film it there. Well, can't really see you walking. Okay, can we see or not? I'm not actually physically seeing anything. I think we'll take some pictures.
We'll have to take some stills.
Just for the record, Charlotte thinks she sees a face peeking out.
Well,
Here we are, getting ready for our dash cam again.
Can we see?
How far back do we need to be? Maybe a little more. There we are.
Or is this record on? Doesn't look like it is. Is it?
Is it red there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it is. Okay.
We might have to do some editing this time. So we've just come back in from taking some pictures of the mausoleum. You got
I took about like 75 photos. And, well, you got an orb.
Well, you got the first one though, did you not?
Oh, I don't remember. But mine was like, it was actually on the other side of the mausoleum, and it's sort of like a little orangey, glowing, tiny glowing light. And it wasn't, I took two other pictures in the same direction to, make sure that it wasn't just a reflection or something, and it wasn't there. So until I blow it up on the computer, I don't really know what it's going to look like.
And I took pictures of the area, like we both took several pictures of that area, like once we saw something. And I did catch an orb, what appears to be an orb by the mausoleum as well. Had a little scary moment when the metal plate that covers it, because it had been broken into and sort of decimated the same way that Bowmanton Cemetery was. And the plate is so old that's on the front that it's just leaning off.
Yeah.
Now, whatever was in there has been moved. So it's quite like 20, 30 years ago. And I thought I saw in the flash this round white thing. And like, you'd taken a ton of pictures, and I'm like, no, here I go, click. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a big round thing in there. And I'm thinking, please don't let it be somebody's head. And it's like, click, and it's like, no, it's just a giant round stone. But
So you don't whether to be disappointed or relieved.
it's like, who do you call? Like, I was like, who are you gonna call? It's like 911. We found something. But very interesting. It's. I don't really have any creepy feelings or anything
Well,
there.
not really. I mean,
than,
I don't think I'd want to be down here by myself at night, mind you.
well, yeah, it's very unlevel footing and all
and
overgrown.
it's very remote and very dark, very lonely.
And like once we came back, because we have two stories. This is just an old family mausoleum that I couldn't even tell you what the names were. And my mother, who did know who the people were, is having memory issues. And she says, I remember going there, but I can't remember who they are.
Well, yeah.
So, that sort of thing happens. It's too bad they didn't have a name or something on there. But there's two stories. Another story in this area is that there is, they call her a white lady. There seems, everywhere we go, there seems to be a white lady in a wedding dress who did commit suicide and drown herself. But I don't believe she was wearing a wedding dress. And it kind of is related to my family in a way. Not the woman that killed herself, but there's a story that goes along with it. So we decided, because this may be the road she walked down, so we thought we'll take pictures of the road. And Charlotte found...
Yeah, I got one small orb. And again, I've been really trying lately to verify what I'm getting by taking several shots in one direction. Because if you just take the one shot, you can't really prove whether it's just a reflection. So if it doesn't show up in the subsequent shots, you know you've got something. So there's a very faint orb. I mean, it's not very big, but there is an orb to the side of the road. But yours was even brighter.
Well, I decided, first we took a few from out the windows and we thought, oh, let's just get out and go down and just see if we can get some. You were being drawn to that side of the road, and I was sort of being drawn to this side, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go down a little bit further not out of the headlights, but to the edge of where the car headlights are. And there's this orange, really bright orange light and an orb to the side, and I took several pictures. I'm like, Charlotte, come down and see. And I stood with my camera like this, so my arms weren't moving, and took 2 or 3 more, hoping if there was a reflection of a sign or something that was but no, the little tiny orb that appears to be on the same side of the road as yours seems to move up in the next picture. But whatever this bright, and it's bright light.
It's very bright, yeah.
Like you would think that there was a car or something.
That's what it looks like, but there's nothing there. There's not even any house lights.
No, we do know at the very end of the street, because there is a bridge, there are those caution signs. But they're facing this crossroad street, so we're facing up this way. The orange signs are over here. They're not facing us. So although if I concentrate really hard, I can kind of tell where they are.
Well, yeah, but they're
really not reflecting the light, which is why I took 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 pictures, trying to catch, like, if the light is going to reflect off of them. It's not going to happen once. It's going to happen over and over and over. And it didn't, which was very interesting. And it was either this road that the lady walked down or the next one over. I'm really not positively sure. But she does walk along Lakeshore Road. And I do have a sheet in here that I got off of the internet. It's in my bag back here. If you can hold on for a second while I reaching for I got the zipper, and there should be the page sitting right there.
I hear the crackle of paper.
If this wasn't real facts, it couldn't be printed on paper. So I'm just going to read it right off. It was supposedly written by somebody from this area, but I don't recognize the name, and I'm not going to say her name because I don't know who she is. And it was actually written by somebody else who goes around trying to get ghost pictures and things. And she's got 100 years ago or more, a young woman who lived in a house on Lakeshore Road was set to marry her sweetheart. On the night before the wedding, her father apparently decided that she should not marry and locked her in her room so that she could not show up to her own wedding. A year later, upon the August night, I like that, upon, that she was that her intended married someone else, she put on her white wedding finery and walked across the fields, which, quite frankly, my grandfather's farm, which is just down the road a little ways, if you ever tried to walk through a plowed field in a white wedding dress, never
probably
would have
wouldn't
happened.
Get far, no.
No, but she did walk down and drown herself in Lake Ontario. On August nights, in her white-clad spirit can be seen walking across the road in the fields towards the lake. And it goes on about some other stuff here. The story that I was told when I was younger, and I'm pretty sure it was my mother, but it could have been my grandmother. My grandfather, and I won't say who he is because, he's long since gone and that's not really important. He knew someone when he was probably in his late teens, might have gone to school with her. I don't know how he knew her. And at one time, they were supposed to possibly marry. There was something that happened to her where that didn't happen, and it could have very possibly been her father didn't want her marrying a farmer, wanted her to marry businessman
yeah.
or something else. I mean, that part of the story, maybe there's truth to that. I don't know. But my grandfather married someone else, my grandmother, somewhere between the early 1920s and before 1936, obviously, because that's when my mother was born. So there's that span of maybe 10 or 12 years where this incident could have happened, because I'm not sure the date of when they got married. My grandparents had gone away somewhere. He delivered apples and things all over the place. So it could have just been he was on deliveries. And it was a rainy night. And as far as I know, she had a child, a baby, with somebody else. Now, it's very possible that it was an illegitimate child, because back then that was like a huge taboo. I don't know that part, but I do recall she said that there were tracks, because it had been wet, around the entire house. And there was baby buggy wheel tracks around the house. And it looked like she had gone around the house many times. And she was probably looking to see if somebody was in the house, because, the old country house going around. And she walked from there down to the lake. And as far as I know, picked up the baby and walked into the lake. So the story is actually a lot more sad.
Well, yeah.
Than, I'm getting So we obviously need to do some more dowsing. I've tried to go through archives. I've tried to go through the internet to find the real story. My mother doesn't remember it accurately. I don't know all the names of people involved. I know my grandparents, obviously. The part of the story that hit me the most was the tracks in the mud.
Yeah.
Because when the story was being told to me, and I was probably 15 or maybe younger, it really creeped me out. Not the fact that she picked up the baby and walked into the lake. That, that part didn't creep me out for some reason, but it was the fact that she had gone around, and my grandfather was a wonderful person. He probably would have done anything to help her if he'd been there. But, so that's the story that I know. But my mother can't confirm it because, she's, her memory's being challenged right now. Yeah. And my grandparents are both gone. And there's really no one that you can go to and say, so is this true?
Yeah, because a lot of these events were not recorded.
Well, yeah.
In papers or anything. I mean, if it was like a personal family story. So, unless you have somebody from the family that can corroborate the facts, there's not really a way to quote unquote prove anything.
Well, yeah, I really have no way. I did think about going down to the library and going through the archives. Well, yeah. There are some papers from back then.
You never know, yeah.
I mean, I have no date or year, which means if they have 1,000 papers or more from that, I would have to go through each individual newspaper and look at each individual article to find this. And suicides were not really something that they would write about.
No, because it was very frowned upon.
Well, yeah, and
it was from a religious point of view.
And if there was a baby involved, then again, that's another it's I don't know. We took some pictures. We did get some orbs. We'll have to do a lot of dowsing, but I can take you over to where the farm is, and we can see just how feasible is it to walk from the farm to here, because it's probably a mile or more, maybe. I'm trying to think how far it is, but when you're distraught and that may not have.
She might not have been paying any attention to.
Well, no,
even where she was going.
It's hard to say. So, I think we'll just do a little, because it's not that far down the road.
Well, no, it isn't. No.
And we may be right back. We don't know. So this is where we're leaving off for now, and we'll see in a bit. There. Oh, there we go. There. Sorry, folks. Well, we need our light.
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say,
Can't see us.
we are lost in this
Dark.
world.
There we are.
We're back.
And it's getting cold out.
It's really quite cold. So we drove all the way to where my grandfather's farm was. It's quite a ways.
Well, yeah.
For her to have walked to Port Britain, so we're kind of thinking that maybe she may have gone down one of the other roads.
Well, yeah.
But back then, people walked. I mean,
Well, that's right. Yeah.
it was the 1920s
used
after
to
all.
Walk everywhere for miles. So
And just down the road from my farm, not very far, maybe like a
few kilometers, I guess, or a couple
quarter of a
kilometers.
mile from the farm. Like, it's not very
Yeah.
far from the farm, is the Wesleyville church, where my grandfather, I think, mainly to avoid going to church, taught Sunday school. But I know that all the families contributed to the doing whatever at the church. So everybody did a little bit of everything. So how many classes he taught, I couldn't really tell you. But there is a little cemetery in the back, and we
Some of the
thought,
stones look pretty old.
well, yeah, it's all the original names
Yeah.
from the people that were here. My grandfather's father owned 200 acres of the original Crown land. So that was, no one else lived on there except Native people before anybody had come here. So we decided, well, there's this little cemetery back there. We didn't go back in too far because we can't really see.
Yeah, we got to remember next time to bring a flashlight. And I meant to bring one, and I just completely forgot. I was halfway to your place. And, I was supposed to bring a flashlight, and I didn't do it. So
menopausal
we
moment.
could have used a flashlight because it's very dark tonight.
It's especially
no
out
moon.
here. There's no lights out here whatsoever. So like if you're deciding, let's go out and take a look, it's pretty dark and kind of dangerous. We did get what appears to be some lights and orbs that are
well,
unusual.
I don't think I got anything on mine, but yours showed because I wasn't able. Like I've said before, my camera doesn't take good night shots, so I think I'm going to see about getting a different camera just for this kind of work.
Well, it's been an interesting night. We got a bunch of what appears to be anomalies.
Well, yeah.
We didn't really use the equipment. The roads where we were, there were houses and, some cars did go by. We kind of joked about, what if they called the police on us? And then a car goes by, we're like, we thought it might be white, but it wasn't. It was beige. But my grandfather is in this particular cemetery, and a lot of the people from this area. It'd be interesting to come back in the daylight.
Oh, yeah, it would.
So that we can see.
I didn't even know this was here, so.
Well, because my grandparents' farm were here, I know. And just past this house is the old schoolhouse, and it's still there. And my mother went to the schoolhouse there and has told me stories over the years. I guess there was and it was a one-room schoolhouse with the big stove kind of in the middle, and in the wintertime, all the kids had to walk, and they would all sit around the stove with their feet up to get warm again. One of the funniest stories that my mother told me was this particular teacher that they did not like. Somewhere in between spring and summer, they were playing baseball, and I guess because they all live in the area, they had dug a hole, filled it with leaves and covered it over, and two kids were pretending they were fighting, and she walked over and down in the hole she went.
Oh my gosh, she could have hurt herself.
Oh, she could have broke her leg. She could have broke a neck.
Well, yeah.
But they did it on purpose. Now, my mother knew about it, but it wasn't actually a digger. But that's not to say that there wasn't a relative of mine that was involved, because I don't know. But she remembers that quite well. And even though she has trouble remembering a lot of things, she remembers the teacher falling in the hole. That, and the fact that the old baker who used to deliver out here, even when in the 60s and 70s, he would come to the farm and deliver bread and butter tarts, which were my favorite thing. And the kids in the area all pitched in and got enough money when my mom was young. So this guy knew me when I was young, knew my mother when she was young, and he lived to be like in his 90s. Like he lived quite a long while. Anyway, they saved all their money, and because he would go to my mom's farm first, she was going to get the blueberry pie and bring it to school so that everybody would get some of the blueberry pie, and it turned out to be raisin.
Oh.
She has not forgot that to this day. I remember the day I got that raisin pie and it was supposed to be blueberry.
Oh, God, I hate raisins.
Yeah, I don't mind raisin pie, but so like there's funny little stories that's nice to know in the area. There's a sad story as well, and in one of the modern houses that's way down the road that we don't need to go and look at. Supposedly, my husband told me this story, and I kind of thought I remembered something about it, that someone had either died in the house or killed their significant other and had chopped them up and put them in the freezer. And I don't know how true the story is, but that's another one of these weird stories that's in the area, and
you can't really,
and it's
verify.
It's a specific house, and I'm not going to say which one it is, because when I say, oh, it's got da 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 da, you're going to go, it's this house, and I really don't know if the story is true. I have no way. Like I say, I've looked up murders and suicides and anything to do with this area, and I've never found anything.
Well, yeah.
Just the stories. And this was a story my husband knew. And he goes, oh, yeah, this is the house. And I went, there was something weird that happened down here, but I couldn't remember what it was. So that's another one of those stories. Maybe sometime in the daylight we can check it out, because it's like further down the road.
Well, yeah.
But I think we've kind of done everything we can do tonight.
I guess we have, yeah.
Very interesting.
It is.
We did get some pictures along Port Britain Road there. So can't wait to look at our pictures and find out what it looks like, large. So I guess I'm Michelle.
I'm Charlotte.
And we'd like to know what makes you say,
wow. We're getting good at this.
oh, I got my seatbelt on. Good Canadians, wear your seatbelts.